Okay, good morning, guys. Today we're going to be talking about something that somewhat divides agents, confuses vendors, and is very rarely explained honestly. Co-agents, conjunction agents, often they're positioned as collaboration, they're sold as more exposure, and they're usually framed as in the vendor's best interest. But are they? Stay tuned.
Good morning, co-agent.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good on this beautiful sunny morning here in Sydney. Co-agents / conjunction agents. What is it, Billy? Let's first of all just define what that actually is, and then we are going to spend the next 10 minutes unpacking it.
Yeah, the idea of a conjunction agency agreement or having a co-agent on the listing, as you said, is reported in the marketplace as an offering where you get double the exposure, two agents working for you, not one. It is a special agreement because it brings in the co-agent to work under the same campaign, and generally it's 50-50, or that's the way it's sort of described to the vendor. But it's funny how it's the reality of actually working in that space is very different to what an owner might think. So we're here to unpack it this morning for you, as you quite like to get this information.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I've done co-agents, I've done conjunction agents. Some of them have gone really well. I did one on a property. I had a lovely agent reach out to me from the eastern suburbs, which is where I'm actually born and bred. So I know that area very, very well. And he called me up and said, would you conjunct with me on a property in Bellevue Hill? It had been on the market for over 365 days. Really, really great property. That one went super, super well. The agent wanted me on board. He was a local in the area and he wanted me on board because he loved all the things that I did with social media, and the vendor had asked for that. And that one went really well. We actually sold that within a week for a phenomenal result. And then I did another one with Michael Combs from Atlas, a vendor who had a luxury home in Mossman. Said, I'd love it if you could collaborate with Michael Combs. He's obviously the big Guru Swami agent in Mossman. And I had a relationship with the vendor who's, he was very comfortable dealing with me in a professional manner. So, and that one also went really, really well, but it doesn't always. There's been many times where I've personally witnessed things can go terribly wrong and get very messy, where a couple of agents are involved. Often what can happen, Billy, is one agent can do all the work and the other agent's not doing as much work. There's blurred lines between vendors and buyers. And sometimes buyers can actually play one agent off against the other. And then, of course, it gets deeper, the accountability problem, the commission split and all that sort of stuff. So why do you reckon, a vendor, and often vendors don't know, but why do you reckon a vendor would want to completely different agents, not from the same agency, working on their property?
Totally separate agencies. I think they get the idea that it's going to give them double the exposure, or they might really like two agents. And I know that's happened, for our agency as well. They simply couldn't pick between two, so they've asked for both. But I think it all starts with the conception that we're going to get double the exposure. We'll get two lead agents working for us. It'll mean double the amount of buyers. But we're going to sort of get into what the reality looks like behind the scenes, because it's not actually always that. Sometimes it's more confusing for buyers. It's a mixed message in the marketplace.
Could not agree more. And I reckon that is the number one factor why a vendor would want two completely different agents. We're not talking about agents from the same agency, guys. We're talking about two completely different agents from two different agencies. So, but I agree. I think, a vendor would automatically assume, well, I'll have Lisa from Novak and I'll have Joe Blow from, Smith Real Estate. And together, the two of them are just going to be a powerhouse. But it's not always the case. Again, I've seen plenty of times when it's gone well. I've personally done that myself. But there's also been plenty of times when it has not gone well. And at the end of the day, as real estate agents, we are there to act in the best interests of the vendor. I had a vendor reach out to me a couple of weeks ago asking if I would co-agent. Actually, I've had it happen twice in the last couple of weeks. And I had to explain to them that I honestly do not believe that is acting in their best interest. I asked them why, and it was exactly what you mentioned, Billy, about the buyer exposure. Oh, they've got a big expat buyer pool and Chinese buyer pool and, whatever it may have been. And I just said, look, I'm really, really sorry. It's not going to work out. That's not me acting in your best interest. And then I had another vendor who explained it to me very, very differently for their own personal reasons. I actually agreed to do that. So I knew the agent. I have absolute respect for the agent, and I felt that we'd be a good fit working together, and that we would be representing the vendor really, really well. I think one of the other big issues is accountability. When the feedback is poor, what is everyone just like finger pointing at each other? Is everyone turning up to do the open homes together? When the price guide is wrong, or there's mixed messages for the marketplace, or the market's changed and one agent says, well, I think we should be doing this, and the other agent says, I disagree, I think we should be doing that. What do you think, Billy?
Well, of course, it's, how do you actually evenly distribute 50% of work? You're never going to have it perfectly. It's either going to be one person, and this is the way it generally goes, that deals with all of the buyers to ensure that every buyer is serviced, well and very well streamlined. But with that, then that means, that said agent generally takes majority of the online marketing presence, which never bodes well, or it means that the other agent is then working tirelessly in the background, dealing with reporting everything to the vendor. And obviously with that, it involves communication going down the line, through the thread of being passed along. And it just sometimes adds an extra layer of work, where sometimes then communication can be miscommunicated down. So
Yeah. And then offers, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but offers with buyers as well, are they calling me and then hoping that they're going to call the co-agent and maybe hear something different from them? Or is that agent then able to negotiate differently for them? And again, this is where it can get very messy. The marketing's another big thing that I want to discuss, Billy, because when you are doing a co-agent or a conjunction with another agency / agent from another agency, who is in control of the marketing? And again, this is where it can get murky. And, it's always coming back to, are we acting in the best interest of the vendor? How are we acting in the best interest of the vendor at every single point? So the marketing, again, the best co-agency that I did was with Atlas, Michael Coombs, on that big luxury property in Mossman. And it was awesome. Michael was wonderful to work with. In fact, I must send him this. He'll love it. But, where that worked really, really well was we just agreed that it would work best if I controlled one real estate portal, i.e. realestate.com, and Michael controlled the other real estate portal, being Domain, and that we were both dealing with those buyers equally. Because there was every opportunity that the one buyer would go to two of those real estate portals and put through the same inquiry to two different agents, maybe hoping that they were getting it two different answers. Then there was the signboard, then there was the brochures, then there was, so you better make sure that you've got a wonderful relationship that is totally transparent, and there needs to be an enormous level of trust there. But at the end of the day, it's, are we acting in the best interest of the vendor?
Yeah, that's right. And truly do we think that's going to get them the best result? Otherwise, simply give your advice early on to say, look, this is not what we feel is in your best interest and what we want to be a part of. Because an agent will love to work exclusively for a vendor. No agent has ever said, can we half the commission and do half the work for half the representation? Just, when you've got 100% of someone for the 100% of the campaign, that's often where you see a really good result, unless I think it's like an out of area agent collaboration, or someone just bringing a different set of skills in, which is totally understandable.
I 100% agree. And then, of course, I had a client who asked me a couple of weeks ago, what happens there with the commission? And look, at the end of the day, that is a conversation between you and the co-agent to split the commission however you see fit. And also, of course, to have that conversation with your vendor as well. I mean, if they're getting two exceptionally experienced agents for half the price of each agent, you kind of got to just shrug your shoulders and go, well, is that where my time is best spent? But again, that's all upon agreeing with agreeing with each other. But I think, here's the question that really just cuts through everything. If you are, selling your property, would you want two agents, or would you want one exceptional agent who fully backs themselves? Because, we certainly don't need to collect a whole lot of agents to sell a property. In my opinion, the vendor just needs the right agent to represent their property.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Hope that covers it.
Hopefully it does. All right, guys, hopefully that info's helped everyone out there. Billy, have an awesome day. And
You too.
I look forward to seeing you and everyone else soon.
Cheers, co-host. See ya.
See ya. Bye.